Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with an update on, get ready, oh no, on this. Yes, there is a problem. The bad news is it's a problem. The good news is it's been fixed. And I have the information for those of you who want it fixed. First, let us identify the problem. The problem occurred, apparently, well, actually it did, because I heard it, on disc number 103. Let's just see what is on disc number 103. Wait a moment. All right, CD 44, 90, up. Here we are, 103. You get Wieniawski's Second Violin Concerto, Saint-Saëns Introduction, Rondo Capriccioso, and finally, Tzigane by Ravel. Blech, puh, the most horrible thing Ravel ever wrote. This is with Isaac Stern and the Philadelphia Orchestra in Ormandy. Now, if you have the Stern edition, you don't have a problem. But for some reason, here we do. What happens is that a bit of Tzigane apparently, well, actually got edited away. And frankly, I feel the less we hear of Tzigane, the better off we are. But let's face it, whether you love it or hate it, you should have the entire Tzigane. Let me tell you something about Tzigane while we're here. You know, as long as I have you, and we're talking about this miserable wretch of a piece, it was composed by Ravel for the incredibly famous Hungarian lady violinist Jeli Darányi. Now, Jeli, which is spelled jelly, was one of a pair of sisters who were both violinists. Her sister's name, of course, was Peanut Butter, so that jelly and peanut butter could play together, as they do so well. Anyway, Jeli, as she's pronounced inappropriately in Hungarian, of course it should be jelly if your sister's name is Peanut Butter. But anyway, she was very, very, very crazy and a very good violinist. And very well known. Bartók wrote his violin sonatas for her, and I mean, all kinds of people were writing stuff for her. She was really, really quite the performer in her day. She died in 1966, but she basically gave up performing in public after World War II. She came from a naturalized, whatever it is, Hungarian Jewish family, a non-religious Hungarian Jewish family, and she was the grandniece of none other than Joseph Joachim, Brahms's buddy, Joachim. So she had a wonderful pedigree, and she really was a very, very gifted violinist and crazy. And she was famous because not only was she the dedicatee of Ravel's Tzigane, but she apparently went to a seance, and the spirit of Schumann told her that it was her job to revive his neglected and basically unperformed violin concerto, which was sitting in the Prussian State Library, or the former Prussian State Library, whatever it was, because her dead great uncle Joseph Joachim popped up right after Schumann's ghost to tell her where he had stuffed the manuscript, because he had it and he sat on it for his whole life, didn't feel it was performable, and so no one had played it really since Schumann wrote it. And she was very, very annoyed when this was about 1938. It turned out that because the Nazis were in power and she was Jewish, they would not let her give the premiere of the Schumann violin concerto, even though Schumann himself had insisted that she do it. She eventually did do it, but that's a whole nother story. So she was the dedicatee of Tzigane. And I just think it's the most awful piece of music ever for the violin. It's horrible. It's just, especially that nasty, endless solo for the violin where it's just going on and on and on and on. Then the orchestra comes in at the end. Originally, by the way, it was written for a piano with a luthier attachment, or a lutheol, or whatever that thing was called. It was a gizmo that allowed the piano to have different stops that made different sounds, including one that apparently sounded like a Hungarian cymbalum, which is why Ravel liked it. But the lutheol didn't catch on at all. No one used it, so then Ravel arranged it for regular piano, then he arranged it for orchestra. But no matter how you arrange it, it sucks. But apparently a part of it was missing in the Ormandy edition. And so here's the good news, more good news. Sony has fixed it. They have the disc. I have the information on where you can write to get a copy, and they promised to send it. I'm still waiting for my one from Decca, from the Grumio edition. And I'm really beginning to think it's simply impossible for a major label to do a perfect big set like this. I just think it's impossible. There's just too many things to keep track of. There just are. I mean, and this is a magnificent set, and it looks like they're really making an effort. So you'll see below where you can write, and it's also down in the subscript, the description of this video, so you will know where to write to get yourself a copy of the corrected disc number 103. So thank you, Sony, for doing it. They came to me about this, by the way. They came to me because I did the huge video, and they were very appreciative, and they wanted to thank me, and they came to me and very honestly and said, we know there's a problem here. I want you to know about it. I want you to know we're fixing it, and please tell everyone this is how you get it fixed. So I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. And do write and get yourself a clean disc number 103. Anyway, we're here, we're together, and so I've decided also just to wrap this up so we have some music to listen to include a mystery melody. And this is a wonderful mystery melody. I'm not telling you what it is. That's the mystery. You have to tell me. So please, take a stab at it. Take a guess. If you're right, I will, of course, say so. If you don't want to know, don't read the comments, because as soon as someone gets it, that's when we'll know whether they're right or wrong. You don't have to look at the replies if you're curious and don't want to know until you've done a little more research. But I think this is one of those haunting, wonderful melodies that you think you've heard before, but you probably haven't. And I'm really curious to know if some of you will be able to tell me who the composer is. And with that, I think we have resolved this issue, this latest issue with a major box set. I'm actually very happy to have this opportunity to be able to share the knowledge and help both the labels and you as purchasers to get this right, because it's just so frustrating, and there's nothing really we can do about it. Now we've done Sony, we've done Universal. I'm waiting for Warner to see what we do about that, because it's inevitable. It's going to happen. It's just going to happen. It's just too many moving parts to be 100% certain of everything all the time. So keep on listening, folks. Give a shot at the mystery melody. Let me hear from you, and take care.